and calls for action for gender equality among women. Now, the Women's New Global for Women in Development and Developing Countries, like the growing international women's movement, which has been strengthened for global women, which is a United Nations Women Conference, has helped very many women into gaining a different position. Now, if I may ask, is Women's Day worthy to be celebrated?
Yes.
Why do we have to celebrate Women's Day?
We have to celebrate
As the
Women's
women out
Day.
there complaining, no, we should not be celebrating because we've not gained what we want. Others are like, yeah, some of us are there, but we are dormant. So is it really worthy to be celebrated?
I believe it is worth it to be celebrated. I'll just pose a question to you. How do you feel when you are recognized?
As a woman?
Yes.
Of course you feel beautiful,
You feel beautiful.
lovely.
So we also feel beautiful. I am actually proud to be a woman. That one thing, it's enough for me to know that I am a change maker. I need to do something for my other women to also be recognized as me. So it is worth it to be celebrated, because even if they are going to recognize you or
Not going to
celebrate
recognize
you, you're going to feel happy. It's like celebrating your birthday. It's worth it to be celebrated because it's going to make you feel that you matter. It's going to make you feel that, yes,
I've added a year
some
old.
people are thinking about me. However much things are not moving on well, but there is someone who is thinking about me. That only can be an inspiration to a woman. So Women's Day is worth it to be celebrated, and it should go on and go on like that.
Okay, we look at women that are recognized on every Women's Day. Do you think they have left some women down there to be recognized and others are being recognized?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I must say, of course, we need to recognize effort. Recognition does not really mean that we are going to keep on recognizing everyone, even if they're not doing anything. And I think that what we are doing is so good that we recognize efforts. Every time you recognize someone's effort to change society, it motivates them to work harder, because they feel like what I'm doing is not only impacting me, because when you're working hard, you're not only transforming yourself as an individual, but you're transforming the society at large. So I think if we are celebrating women who are doing, because that we all have to admit that getting through, breaking through, irrespective of the gender, breaking through and getting up there, it's not easy. It takes a strong person. It takes resilience. It takes time. It takes determination. So I feel like when we celebrate people that have broken through and have gotten there, it's not only celebrating their hard work, but it's because they have created a precedent for us to learn from, that if you work hard, like maybe if we celebrate women in academia, that if you work hard, if you read your books as a woman, if you're determined, because the truth is challenges are everywhere. So if you're determined, you're resilient enough, when you get there, people are going to know your worth and they're going to celebrate you. So if women are not celebrated in their achievements and in their capacities, they will not get inspired to work hard. They will not get inspired to change society. But every time you know you're going to be celebrated, it even checks your integrity as a person. You're like, I'm now a leader. I'm now into the limelight. So I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for the people around me. So at the end of it all, you don't only become a hero to yourself, but a hero to the whole society. And I think, yes, we need to keep this going more. And I think as the theme goes, we need to accelerate. I think women are not celebrated enough. We are not celebrated enough. If you see what women go through, you are a mother, you are an MD, you're handling this, you're handling that, the home is in shape, the home is that. So I feel like we're even not celebrated enough like we're supposed to be celebrated. More celebration needs to come in. I feel like Women's Day should even not be an annual event. It has to be like monthly, so that we recognize these women who are going extra mile. You are a minister, You are a mother. You are doing, because those ministers have other responsibilities. They are professions in other fields. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that, and we only come once to celebrate you. As a person, I feel it's even not fair enough.
Do you think the government has done a lot to celebrate women?
Yeah,
or we are still lacking something in this?
the government is trying its best because of recent. We see last year they celebrated Brenda Kichoncho, Honorable Brenda Kichoncho, as the youngest medalist. Wow. It was a very good thing for us as women. Personally, I was inspired, and I must commend the president for the efforts he is doing, particularly to recognize the young woman. Formerly, it has been recognizing the older women because they think they have the experience, they think they've been there for so long. But now if the president and the government at large is coming down to recognize the young women, it shows us that we have potential as the young women. It shows that our efforts are being recognized. But what we are trying to say is, we are being recognized, we appreciate. Let them accelerate the process. Let there be an increase at the speed at which they celebrate
the women.
Yes.
All right. Let's look at different women in different sectors, in different organizations. We'll look at the women who work in industries, and the ones that we know, that industries that basically deal in steel and tube. We look at companies that do brewery. We look at companies that do hair. Do you think these ladies are given a chance in their sectors, or do you think they have justice, or they do not have justice at all?
Well, as I may say, thank you to those companies that hire women, but something needs to be done. I work with Inspectorate of Government as a client support consultant, but when I'm on my way to go to work, there is a company I see that hires women, but the way they are suffering. One time I actually stood, because being a president of the Interact Club, that means I have to be looking at different people, different women, different areas, especially the remote areas. So one time I was going to work, then I stood and I asked a woman, I told her, I always see you moving. She can move on foot, walk for a long distance to go to work. Then I posed a question to her and I asked her, how much do you earn? A woman leaves home at 7 a.m., walks, goes to work. She's going to come back with 5,000. She has a family to take care of. The kids are studying. She's a single mother. I feel like that is not fair enough to her. She's working, remember, from morning up to evening, because if I go in the morning, I find her. In the evening, I find her.
Yes, you're coming back.
Then I was really touched to ask this woman, how much do you earn? You mean you cannot get transport from that? Then I realized she's earning little. It is the same money she has to take back to feed the kids, the same money she has to use for other stuff. They have to study. So these industries, please, if you're hiring women, let there be a salary scale for them. But not just because someone has worked for these hours. Actually, in Uganda, they don't look at hours. Some look at week or even a month. So you work from the first of the month up to the last, and then you get the money. How about these other days? What are you going to be using? So some companies, they need to look at that so that women can at least be favored, because we don't know what they are going through. Last time on Monday, I was in Tiana doing a community needs assessment. Women are really badly off, as I may say, in terms of health, in terms of education. They are really badly off. So we need to come out, different organizations. I thank the Rotary International, because you will excuse me, I'll speak in that line because that's what I understand most. So I thank Rotary International that it has come out with this program of economic empowerment, where we have come out to help women in different sectors, sponsor some children. We give them different projects like piggery, goat rearing. We give them land for farming. At least we need to get women from down there. I don't want mostly to look at women in top positions because at least for them they have made it.
Oh.
I am now concerned about the women and the women in those communities that have no even access to listen to what we are saying now. So how does this information reach to those women down there? So I think these industries, please, if you're going to hire women, at least let there be a fair pay for them. If it is that day, at least something, but not 5,000 now in Uganda. I don't think that it can do something for a woman who has a family to take care of. And a woman who works, I was so really touched. So I had to commit myself to be giving her transport every day to go to work. At least I got a border man for her to be taking her to work. At least I touched her life. So women there, if you're seeing someone suffering or someone going through something, like the single mothers, they are trying to raise their kids, please touch that woman. You're making a difference to her.
All right, we do celebrate International Women's Day, and of course today is a Saturday and it is a public holiday. To some of you who do not know, we do celebrate International Women's Day 2025. And of course, Women's Day is not only celebrated in Uganda, but it's celebrated worldwide. We are looking at the things that affect women. We are looking at the different sectors where women work. Do you think women have been given justice in these different sectors? Do you, when you look at protection, do you think women have been given protection? So all in all, why do we celebrate Women's Day? Is to get to know about their achievements, to get to know what has been done or what has not been done to protect women. So we do celebrate Women's Day, and today is a very important day, not only in Uganda, but the rest of the world, as we do celebrate Women's Day. So if you're a woman out there and you have not been celebrated, all I have to tell you and all I have to say is I wish you a happy Women's Day, and thank you for all the good work that you've been doing. Let's look at the social protection of women in Uganda. Do you think women are protected enough? Recently I was watching the news, and there's a lady, the co-wife, you know, these two are staying. The man came to visit, so as the man went back, the co-wife comes in and knocks at the lady's door, and the lady opens, and guess what? They poured on her acid, you know, when we look at that. And then also the lady ran away. So you know how women are very aggressive, so the women are trying to, you know, they want to get her and then beat her up. Do you think social protection has been done to women?
Wow, that's a very sad story and a very sad incident. It reminds me of recent, I was reading an article about the survivors of acid and their plight and what they are going through. And actually I realized many of them are women. Many of them are women, and many of them are burnt in the same scenario like you've explained. And I must say, social protection for women, for there we have failed. We have failed. In fact, for there we are operating in negatives. Women are not protected. You see sexual harassment, you see very many things that are happening to the women, but they have nowhere to report to. Yes, and in case if they report, are their issues addressed on time? How are they being helped? Because you look at scenarios of like sexual harassment. When women are sexually harassed, has the government put space for them to safely express themselves? I'll give you an example of maybe rape instances.
Yes.
A case in point is marital rape. Like, are these women in safe spaces to report marital rape? You know that we are in a patriarchal society. Do even society recognize that a woman can be raped by their husband? But we know it is possible. It happens.
Yes, it does.
Are women protected? Even in the law, it's not there. The law is silent. And the law does not recognize marital rape. But are women not raped in their marital home?
Well, someone will ask you, what do you mean by a woman is raped when she's married to a man?
Oh, that is so interesting. You know, under common law, they assume that when you get married, you've consented to
the marriage,
to
subject.
Yes, to subject to. But that's not the case. We are having women whose husbands are forcing them to have sexual intercourse with them when they're into their menstruation period.
Yes, true.
Eh?
Yes.
We are having women, because as you grow, your body also changes.
Of course,
so
definitely.
some things there and there might not be the same way maybe by the time you started with this man. And of course, you know, as you're doing things here and there, stress comes in and what. So even the way your body reacts changes. So some men do not understand that women also go through certain situations and they need time to recover so that they can be fit to perform their marital roles. Some men force themselves onto these women, and women cannot report anywhere. A woman dies in silence. But the fact is, they are being raped. The man is raping them, actually. The man is forcing themselves onto her. The man is having unlawful knowledge with her. But she has nowhere to report because the law is silent. The society is very bitter. How do you say you've been raped by your
own husband?
Yet
you're married.
Yet you're married. We get. Like, as if marriage is entirely based on sex, which is not the case here. You get. So I think some of these provisions that are lacking are subjecting women into the cruelty of the society, and they are not protected socially. Let's leave alone the issue of marital rape. Let's look at women, like my colleague was here discussing about the pay of women.
Yeah.
Are they protected from that exploitation?
Some time ago, just a little bit to cut you short, there's a time I was going to, I think on that road of Namavi, and of course, you know, they have very many factories around that area. When you look at the majority of people that are working in those industries, 99% are women. But some of them are locked outside. Why? Because they've come a second past their working time, or they have come at 5 minutes late from work for work. And I looked at it, and some of them are seated outside. Meanwhile, some of them are not even paid because, you know, just a small mistake, you're not paid money. So I looked at that and I'm like, okay, I am a woman, and this is what, you know, these young, and majority of them are young women. That's the thing that really touched me. Majority of them are young women. And I'm asking myself, what do we have to do for these young women? So what you're talking about, I think it's what is happening.
Yes.
And what she has just spoken about them getting little pay. So I look at it and I'm like, is it worth it?
It's not worth it because, but I think for that exploitation, more especially exploitation by the workers, here it has to be the initiative of the government. I think I call upon government. Let it come up with a law that governs the workers. Yes, the Workers' Act is there, but is it being implemented? Like what we are trying to say, and the theme is still very significant. And I even think in 2026, we need even to repeat the same thing. Accelerating action. These laws are into place. These things are written, but if you read the Workers' Act, it's so sweet. It has these laws in place. Are they implemented? So the whole issue here is it's calling stakeholders, people who have the power, people on board, to implement, not only implementing, but implementing steadily and with progress. Not just coming to TV stations and you're talking and the laws are silent and they are covered somewhere and nobody is coming to follow up. Let there be follow up. Now for these women, how can someone be paid 5,000 a day? There is lunch. Actually, most of them work on empty stomachs. You've not eaten. An example of what my colleague has said, you're footed, you're hungry, you're working for very many hours from 7 to around 5 on an empty stomach. So it's not fair enough. And I think more women, activists, women, now here, this is when we call women, the one we call the privileged one, like society calls them, to come in. Yes, you're lucky you've gotten that position. Come and fight for the women. And we are lucky that the Ministry of Gender and Social Development is headed by a woman, Honorable Betty Among. I think in her capacity she's trying, but she can do better. So we are calling upon her with all partners around that work with her. Let them improve on the way they are handling these issues. They can do better.
All right, we do celebrate Women's Day right here on U24, and of course, our theme is to accelerate actions and, of course, gender equality among women. We're going to be taking a very short break, and of course, when we come back, we'll be, asking some question: is gender equality important? Do you think the government has done a lot to see that the women are out there? Let's take a short break. When we come back, more about women.